Anyway, I figure probably most of y'all have already been to New York City, or you live there, or you've lived around there and you've been in and out. But New York had been on my bucket list for many, many years. And finally, for my 50th birthday, Billy said, Christy, my daughter, y'all go. So the first 2 or 3 times she and I went, or I went with a foreign exchange student one time, and Billy wanted nothing to do with it. He said, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And he retired, and he took off on a road trip by himself. And my daughter and I were going to go to New York for 2 or 3 days and then meet up with him in Albany. And he said, okay, how do I get to New York? So he left his truck in Albany. I said, I won't be there till that night, about 7 o'clock. Take the train into Albany. You come up Penn Station. You come out on the east side. You walk down, I think, 32nd or 33rd Street until you get to the hotel. He comes up at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and thought, oh my gosh, what in the heck have I done? Because everybody's going home for the day. And he just meets everybody. But he did find the hotel. He got there. And I run in there and throw my luggage at him and say, you'll have to find dinner. Because he wasn't coming. And I'm headed off to a Broadway show. But he has been back several times. And he will recommend it. Probably one of our biggest pet peeves is people say, oh, I hate New York City. And I said, well, what did you hate about it? Well, I don't know. I've never been. So at least give it a chance if you've never been. 3 or 4 days is a good time. We found out that a week is too much. So here's a New York map. And if you don't know where New York City is, way down here at the bottom of the state, down there in the bottom there.
Okay, now we just see the I Love New York.
Okay, so we'll have to wait a minute. It's slow.
Okay, now we see the map.
Okay, and New York City is way down here at the bottom. So this next little map shows the lower part of New York City. Has it shown up?
Okay, yes.
It's got Battery Park down here. This was one of the first things my daughter and I did, and probably one of the first things that Billy did when he finally got to New York, is to go see the Statue of Liberty in Ellis Island. There's a couple of ways to see it this direction. One is to do through the National Park Service. You can take a ferry from Battery Park. Most of the time I've gone, it's gone over here to Ellis Island first, and you can get off, or you can stay on and go on over here to the Statue of Liberty. Usually they bounce back and then go back to Battery Park when you're day. If you're doing a tour like this, I would plan on the full day, and I would always get your tickets in advance. And we'll see the tickets in just a minute. We've been there, I think, 3 times. Over there, they're free. Audio tours are now included. And if you're doing Ellis Island for an additional fee, you can do the backlot tour of Ellis Hospital tour, some of the older buildings. But I think everyone has to be at least 18. When we were there 2 years ago with our granddaughter, she was not old enough to do it. So Liberty Island is where the Statue of Liberty is at. Is it showing up?
Yes, it is.
Okay. They have done a major remodel over the last few years. They've got a brand new museum back over in here. This is where they have moved the foot of a replica of the foot, the actual size of it, so you can see what it would actually look like, what the size is in comparison. This is the staircase that's going up. There's one going up, there's one going down. You can go into a little bit of it, but you do have to pay extra to go all the way up to the top now. We've done it. It's off the bucket list. We did that with Allison a couple of years ago. It's 162 stairs from the foot to the crown. I don't know who's going to do it with our other grandkids, but we may have to take someone with them. They do have to be a certain age. I don't know that I could do that again, but I'm glad I did do it. From there, when the boat ferry picks you back up, it will go back over here to Ellis Island. Whether you choose to do that or not, we always think it's really fascinating. This is a view of Ellis Island with Manhattan in the background. Beautiful, beautiful old building that's been redone.
One of the quick deals of that, when they built that particular building, that acreage was 4.68 acres. Then as they dug out the subway system, they added another 22 acres to Ellis Island from the landfill dirt. And then New York and New Jersey got to arguing over it and had to have the Supreme Court decide who owned what. And so New York owns this part of the original with the 4.68 acres, and New Jersey owns the landfill of 22.8 acres. Just your deal.
This is the Great Hall of Ellis Island, and it's spectacular. It's just so pretty. And as you go around different parts of it, they've got little museum rooms. This is a set of staircases that once you went through the line, it was open up until the 50s, but in its heyday, you would go through the lines, and it had 3 different doors.
And you didn't want to go through the center because that meant you staying longer. If you went to the left, that meant you was going to New York or north. If you went to the right, it meant you was going south or west. But if you went through the middle, you was either going to go back medically and get treated, or they were going to send you back home. So the middle door was not the choice.
If you had to go through the middle door, hopefully you were going to stay there and be treated. They saw some hope, and maybe they could get you well or get over whatever you were suffering from. They had all kinds of outbuildings with hospital beds. This is the Great Hall at one time there with hospitals. They had so many. This is an example of one of the museum rooms. They would, they put you in one of those hospital rooms, they had to put your luggage somewhere. And so they had stacks and stacks of luggage until you could be sent on. So right over to the edge of Battery Park is where you can go and get on the Staten Island ferry. This is another way to see the Statue of Liberty. You don't get to get off, it goes right by it. Staten Island ferry is free. Does not cost you anything. You go across, goes right in front of the Statue of Liberty. When you get across, everyone has to disembark, even if you want to turn around and come back. You get off, you go around, get back in line, get back on to go back into Manhattan. But this is a quick and easy way if you're limited on time and you just you don't want to go through the National Park Service to go see it. Moving around over on this edge, this is Pier 17. It's right to the side of the Brooklyn Bridge. Across the street from Pier 17, there's a lot of stores, shopping, restaurants, and then Pier 17 also has some stores up on the top floor. It's a great view. One of the things that you can see outside of Pier 17 is some display ships. I think you can pay to go on these or view them. They're historic ships. But when you look off the other side, this is where you get a great view of the Brooklyn Bridge. If you want to walk up a ways, then you kind of get a little closer view. The first time we got really close, it was my daughter, Billy, and her future husband. And the guys didn't really want to walk it, so we didn't. And the next time Christy and I went back, and we got a walking tour. We looked online. There's several walking tours, and they have one level that's what they do, pedestrian traffic, where you can walk and bicycle. Great walking tour. They stop and talk and stop and talk. So you don't really feel like you walked that whole bridge, but they tell you the story of the building of the bridge and the people that died. Just a few other views. This is over at what we call Dumbo, looking back, and you're seeing Pier 17 right here, and then you're getting the Brooklyn Bridge. Now, Dumbo stands for down under the Madison, Brooklyn, I think overpasses or something like that. But they call it the Dumbo. It's a section where the two bridges kind of come together over there in Brooklyn. It's a little shopping area. There's a little amusement park, great little ice cream place if you like ice cream. You can turn around and go back and walk across. You can find a subway to go across, and there's a ferry that you can go back across. Moving up, this area right in here is your Wall Street area. This is where you're going to find the New York Stock Exchange. Also in this, it's a little kind of closed in area if you've never been to Wall Street. I've talked to several people that they've been to New York, but they've never gone down in this area. There's also something right there called the Federal Building. This is a statue of George Washington. Back in 1920, you had horses and wagons and carriages, and there was a horse-drawn wagon. And, you know, evidently people just thought he was covered wagon, thought that he was getting off to take care of business. Well, he got off and then it was blown up. And you can see pock marks in the cement and stuff where this happened. This one jumps over, we're going to waylay here. When you come out of Wall Street area, right here, there's a church. And it's Trinity Church, and you turn and go south just about 2 blocks, because this the bull, oh come on, that's where the bull's located. It's not right there at the Federal Building or anything, but this is, you know, everybody wants to have their picture with a bull, except for my brother did not like my niece having a picture of the bull at the back end. So take that off of Facebook. Okay, we did. So going back up to, you're not far actually. Then this, you've got your World Trade Center where the towers were in this area here. Good place to start with that area is St. Paul's Church. It's right across the street. When the towers came down, the workers had to have a place to go and rest, sleep, maybe just take a quick nap, get something to drink, get something to eat. And St. Paul's Chapel, it's a small chapel, little cemetery across the street, was not destroyed. They became kind of a refuge place for people. Even as our other people came in from all over the United States and all over the world, this is where they went as well. For a while, this was kind of the 9/11 museum until the other was built. At one time, they had a huge display of just a stack of these patches that people had taken off and given. So over at the 9/11 museum or memorial, you can typically walk up to the 2 memorials. They are the size of the building. They're the same footprint. We had some friends that were there a few weeks ago, and because of COVID, they had it roped off and you couldn't go, you could see it, but you couldn't walk up to it. Not really for sure why. That did, with it being outside, it didn't make sense, but it is what it is. But to go into the 9/11 Memorial Museum, these are the tickets, whatever package, $28 and $35. We had planned to do that last month when we were there. We had not, we didn't plan ahead 2 years ago, so we didn't get tickets. And when we got to checking for last month, not everything was open. The video wasn't open, and there were a couple of displays that were not open. So we chose to wait. We'll wait till next time we go, and hopefully everything will be open at that time. Here's another view of the memorial. The park around the area.
That's really quite large.
Yes,
They
it
are
is.
huge. Well, there's the size of the building, each building.
When you go at night, it's very, very solemn. The very next picture.
Mm.
Here's one at night. And you can see around the edges here, they had the names.
Of the people that died.
Ah.
Also in that area, they built a new subway train station. It's called the World Trade Center Transportation Hub, or the Oculus. It's very kind of strange, funky looking. Several million were used to build this.
Yeah, they say 4 is the low end, 4 billion. And yeah, with a B. And when you look inside, it's 6 floors of station and shops. It's quite large.
They go to the subways, the trains. It's a huge mall, restaurants. Some money needs to be spent on the rest of their transportation system. Also, right there is the One World Trade Center. $38 for a ticket online, or $42 if you want to walk up to it. At the very top is you walk around. I think they've got traffic going in one direction, a little small museum type areas or displays, but you get a beautiful view of the city and of the Hudson. Okay, moving over here to Chinatown, and then we'll be going into Little Italy. Chinatown has pretty much taken over all of this. Chinatown has taken over a lot of the Jewish area that we'll talk about here in a minute, or the Asian community. Chinatown kind of starts around Canal Street through here. You used to have Canal Street, and this is where you would get off the subway and you go find your knockoff purses and and you find all kinds of stuff. They've cleaned a lot of that up. You may still find some, but it's not like what it used to be. What's interesting is that you feel like you've just gone into China with all the signs and the streets and the things that they're selling. It's really cool just to kind of walk up 2 or 3 blocks of it just to see it. Here you've got dried fish, dried mushrooms. I don't know what all dried is. The fishy stuff smells fishy, but it is cool to see. You feel like you may not ever get to China, but you kind of get an idea of maybe what it might look like. You see a tea shop. Again, that's something to go into, and they'll sell tea by the pound or whatever. But they're just beautiful tea shops. So then, like I said, we move into Little Italy, and Little Italy is kind of a 2-block radius now, but part of one of those blocks is definitely, Little Italy. Next door is Chinatown. You're going to find delis, groceries, olive oil, cheeses. You go on down the other end, you even found pastas, pre-made items that you could take. And then back here, the restaurants, and back up here, it's a little street that sometimes you'll see in movies or pictures and stuff. Then when it lights up at night, it says Little Italy. Jumping on over to the east side a little bit more in the Jewish area is Katz's Deli, a Jewish deli. When you go in, everybody gets a ticket. Billy would get a ticket. I would get a ticket. My daughter got a ticket. And even if you ordered, only one of you ordered, you still all had to show your ticket when you came out. So I don't know what would happen if you lost your ticket. I don't know, but we were hanging on to them tight. The food portions were extremely large, share, because there's so much food in the area if you want to try some of the local food stuff. But it was good. Katz's Deli is famous for the movie When Harry Met Sally. There was a lady in the back and says, "I want what she's having." If that rings a bell, that's at Katz's Deli, and that was his mother. On down at the other end of the block is a knish place, Jonas Schimmel knishes. They make savory knishes and sweet knishes. Billy likes the sweet ones. He liked the cream cheese cherry one, I think is what he liked. Again, these were huge. If you couldn't do both, if you ate one, you weren't hungry for the other one, so you had to make a choice. You're also in the area, and I don't have any pictures of it. You're just a couple of blocks from the Tenement Square area. They have a tenement museum. Again, buy tickets in advance, and they'll take you over into the old places where they lived, and sometimes 8, 10, 12 people to a room. We saw this on TV, CBS Sunday Morning News several years ago. And so it took me like 3 trips before we got there. And this is Eldridge Street Synagogue. They charge 15 for adults and 10 for seniors. I didn't know what Allison would like it, but she really enjoyed it. We had a great docent, a volunteer that came in, and what they had gone in, this window had all been broken out. And on the TV, they had gone in and remodeled the synagogue and rebuilt this beautiful, beautiful stained glass. So I had wanted to see it. And so they were very kind and said, okay, we'll go. It was a beautiful, beautiful church. Quickly go through there. The benches were numbered. I guess you had your own number. Moving across, our daughter had looked at NYU. So I had seen Washington Square a few years ago when she was thinking about going there for a master's, and she decided, no, she wouldn't do that. That was cold. We went there for my 50th birthday, and on that day, it was 15 degrees in New York City. And she said, no, I'm not going there. But Billy had seen it. He'd seen pictures of it. So this last trip, we made a trip over to see Washington Square for him, to see the arch and the fountain. A picture-taking opportunity.
Yeah.
A beautiful park. A lot of college kids come out there and hang out, study, eat, sleep. Since we didn't get to go to the 9/11 museum, we were looking at either the Fire Department Museum or the New York Police Department Museum. And the Police Department one has closed. I don't know if it's going to reopen. So we thought, well, this is close by. We will go to the Fire Department Museum. 2 floors of antique equipment, beautifully restored.
Yeah, this particular one, it looks all right the way it is, but you hook up a team of horses and that steam engine running, it looks cool. And they had several pictures of the team of horses pulling
Oh.
it. And I really thought that was impressive.
They also had a room that was set up in memory of 9/11, worst day of the fire department's history. But it was a very interesting museum. We enjoyed it. This looks close. It looks like they're across the street from each other. They're not. There's streets that are missing in between here in this map, but it kind of opens it up and lets you see it. And this one here is Union Square. This is one of the places that our daughter, when we went for my 50th, said, I want to go to Union Square. I said, sure, whatever you want. We got up early. She said, look, we'll have breakfast there. They have a farmer's market. Well, we got there, and starting in late September all the way to early January, they set up all these little booths. It's like a 3-month craft show. But the subway comes right up there. I think there's one on each end of the corner. But it was a real cool little place. We did some shopping there for Christmas. And in addition to that, they also have a farmer's market, and it's open year round. I don't know if it's open Mondays and Tuesdays, but I know for sure Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They come from Upper New York. They come from New Jersey. We've seen vendors there that came in from Vermont and bring produce in. Good place for Billy to find something. He's my picky eater, but he likes fruit, so this works out really well. Grab him something. Moving on up, your Flatiron building. I don't know what they're doing to the Flatiron building right now. They had netting around it, so some kind of reconstruction and so forth on it. I didn't know if it had it on the front. I remembered it being on the back side.
Remodel.
A remodel, touching up something. maybe some window work, I don't know. In the Flatiron Building area, there is a store called Italy. Since Italy's opened up, there's now one in Dallas, there's one in Vegas. I'm sure there's others as well. Italy, fine Italian food. It's a market. They have kitchenwares. They have places to go in and sit down and order food. You can, if you get pizza to go like this here, they'll warm it up and they have a patio outside. You can go in and eat. Now, if they go to one of the other there's certain countertops, you sit down and you order and so forth. They also have all kinds of take and go food. They have a restaurant at the top. They were open that day. We were there. When I was there with Christy a few years ago, you had to have a reservation. And I think probably as things start to get busier, they're going to require it. But food was fabulous. Plentiful, plenty to share. Not too far from there is a fun little store. I don't do a whole lot of shopping because I got to figure out how to carry it home. And every time I go in here, I want something, and it's called Fish's Eddy. They have all kinds of dishes. They have the Manhattan plate, and around the rim is the skyline of Manhattan. But I'll see stuff I want, and I think I'll just order it when I get home. And when I get home, I think I don't need that. So far, I haven't bought a whole lot. But it's a cool, whoops, I went the wrong way. But it's a cool little place. They can get very political with their stuff as well. So, to kind of give you an idea of where we're at here, this is Herald Square. So this is where Macy's is at. So coming on down, there's a block and a half of the New York Flower Market. We used to stay and here's the Empire State Building. We used to stay over here, and I'd walk this direction because I've taken classes at the Culinary Institute before, and I'd walk down there. And so when I'd come back, I'd walk down this street. I found this flower market, and they set out all kinds of flowers and plants every morning. They're wholesale. They will sell locally as well. Beautiful, beautiful flowers in the morning. It's just gorgeous. An area, if you've never seen it, it's kind of cool. Coming straight across, this is a subway line that was above ground that has gone out of service. It's 1.25 miles, and they've turned it into they took out the tracks, put down a walking path, added greenery, chairs, lounge chairs, heavy duty lounge chair type things, tables that you can walk up and down, find you a place to have a snack or visit. And as a result, all of this has been refurbished, going into high-end housing. And it goes from there around Chelsea, because it goes real close to the Chelsea Market. Chelsea Market is where they used to, I don't know if they still do, the Food Network show. But you can see where it was an above line subway. And they put in all this beautiful greenery. It's beautiful. It's just kind of a cool place for New Yorkers to get out and enjoy some areas, the outdoor area. So you can see the line again here. And then this, they've really come in and developed. This is high end as well. It's called Hudson Yards. It used to be kind of run down and such. The subway, you get off at that area and you walk west and you're right there. This is one of the things they have is a new building called the Edge. It's an observation deck, 36 for adults and 32 for seniors. This here little thing that sticks out is the observation deck. You can walk out on that and look down, or they have a glass floor and that's it from underneath. You can walk on top of this glass floor and look down 1/4 mile. I've done that at the Willis Building in Chicago. I don't have to do that again. I'm done. I'm done. But it's a cool building. It's a cool building. Another building that's been built up there, it's called the Vessel. Kind of honeycomb looking. It's beautiful. They were only charging $10, and you kind of walk up and down all the way up here. If you'll notice, there's a rail there, but there's nothing else in front of it. What they did not anticipate happening is it became a suicide magnet. And they were having on an average of one a month is what we've read. And so now you can take pictures of it, but you can't go in it. There's no way to have somebody there to stop someone. And just, yeah, it's kind of crazy. This is underneath, looking up. Also in the same area is a new art exhibit called The Shed with a $10 fee. Okay, this is the subway line. We were only there, we checked, we got Monday, we left on Thursday. We still bought a $7 pass. A 7-day pass. Subway will get you anywhere, and if you get a multi-pass, it will take you, you can also do the bus passes. One thing you just remember, if you're going north, it's uptown. If you're going down, southtown, still working on the east and west. I haven't totally figured that out, but we're getting there. But it's $33 for a 7-day pass. In 2 days, we had paid for ours. And then when we got ready to leave, we gave it to somebody getting off the train and say, here, take and use the rest of the 3 or 4 days. This is Rockefeller Center. I'm kind of jumping around here real quick. Rockefeller Center, you'll see all kinds of exhibits there. The most famous, of course, is the Christmas, the statues, the angels, the Christmas tree. Right behind the Christmas tree is the skating. Then you've got the tower there, and also the NBC. Over to the left over there is the Today Show. The Today Show, that's where I wanted to go for my 50th birthday. It was 15 degrees. I stood it. My daughter bailed. She found a coffee shop, but I thought, I'm going to do this, and I did it. More from Rockefeller Center. We were there a month ago right after Halloween, and they were having the Day of the Dead exhibit, artwork from Mexico. Beautiful, beautiful work. Another Christmas one. Home Alone. Skating rink. They were getting it ready. The one at Bryant Park had already opened. I'm a theater district here. Times Square is right in there. It kind of all runs together. Lots and lots of Broadway shows. Some have opened up. Some are opening up this month. Again, some after the first of the year. Jersey Boys is good. This one was a few years ago. We saw this one a few years ago. Definitely Wicked if you've never seen it. I've seen Phantom, not one of my favorite, but I did enjoy it. I was trying to think what else there. Hairspray. Trying to think. Billy is not big into Broadway show, but he did enjoy Come From Afar, Come From Away. It's on one of these. There we go. Come From Away. We saw it in Washington, D.C. about 9/11 in Newfoundland. Book of Mormon. Might want to read up on it before you go see it. I should have. I enjoyed it, but it was not what I expected. Again, it's just like Hamilton. You don't know what it's about. Don't go see it unless you know you may be lost the whole time. My bucket list is Harry Potter. It's a 2-part one. You can see the first one and don't go see the second one. But when I go back, I want to see 2 parts, and it's 2 tickets. Food-wise, when Billy's with me, we just do pretty much simple Chipotle. We do go to Junior's. It's a deli. Wonderful cheesecake. I was trying to think what
we started every morning at their bakery and enjoyed some danishes and a drink, and then got started.
Yeah, right next door they had a bakery. You do have to show your ID. You had to show your vaccine card to go in and sit down at a restaurant. Some other places right there in that area. Stardust Diner is kind of fun. It's a great breakfast place, but it's hard to screw up breakfast. And it's an expensive breakfast, but our granddaughter really enjoyed it. She was 16, and the waiters and waitresses are aspiring actors, actresses. So they wait on you, and then they get up and sing. If you're right across the street is the Marriott Marquis. On the 8th floor where the check-in, there's a bar lounge, little restaurant that hangs out over Times Square, which is a great view at night. It's beautiful. My daughter and I are better at going to the different places. We've done Asian, we've done Russian, Korean, Greek, and probably one of our favorite was Ethiopian. It was really good food. More Times Square. You've got the Hershey store, the M&M store. Unless you just really, if you really like these, go to Walmart. Very expensive candy. I don't get it. I don't get it. St. Patrick's Cathedral. I'm trying to speed up because I know we're running out of time. And every time we've gone until 2 years ago, they were working or renovating on something on this church. Every time it was just beautiful though. The stonework, the windows.
Scaffolding is gone.
Scaffolding is gone.
Pretty.
They have they had an alcove. We were there one Christmas with a huge nativity scene. The stained glass was beautiful. So where we're at here, Herald Square. Let me see where we're at now. Okay, so Herald Square, and right over to it, going this direction, is the Empire State Building. Okay. And right south of that is Little Korea. Again, another place for great food. If you go to the Empire State Building, 42 for adults, 40 for a senior, but it's an all-day pass. So if you go early in the day and you have time at night, go back at night. They're open till 10 or 11 o'clock, and then you get an evening view. It's beautiful. There's a day view. There's a night view. I'll come back to this in a little while, and Jack can tell us this story.
Jack can tell it right now.
You want to tell it right now, Jack?
I guess I could. The lighting on that City Corp building, if you see the little edge as it comes down on the right-hand side there, I went up there to figure out why the lights weren't working and climbed up there, and sure enough, there's people behind me with some cable thing that they were using, and I did not have any sort of personal protective equipment. No thing to hook onto or anything. And the wind starts blowing. And I realized this cable that's flapping around behind me could just like 50 stories, I obviously did not get thrown off the building. We got the lights fixed, and there you see the results right there. So,
There you go.
yeah, a little adventure in the big city.
Yep. Someone did tell us real quick that if you didn't want to pay to go up the Empire State Building, you could go to the Rainbow Room at the Rockefeller Center, go up there and have a drink, and you've got the same view looking over backwards at the Empire State. They did forget to tell us, though, that the drinks were about $20 a piece. So you're spending 40, but compared to 80. So, and it was kind of fun. So here we are at Grand Central Terminal. I jumped too fast at something. Another train station, beautiful old train station. It was redone a few years ago. It's big hall, and you can see the different areas there that go off to the different trains. It also has shops and restaurants. So if you're in that area and you're looking for something quick to eat, this is an opportunity. Jumping across, this is still on our list. It has been, and that's United Nations. The train does not go all the way out. Not. They stop back. I don't know how far back. When the adults were 22, seniors were 15. But it is something I still want to go do. This is a view from the East River looking at United Nations. The flags. And then
Main assembly.
the main assembly room. Looking at Central Park, down here on the lower east side, this tall building is the Plaza Hotel. It's kind of fun to go into if they'll let you go in. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. The statue outside, just a pretty building. Then working, we did twice this last time. We've been there several times. We got on the subway and came up here and got off somewhere between 60 and 70. And you're right here at the Dakota building. Dakota building is where Yoko Ono lives, John Lennon. We also heard that Roberta Flack has or had lived there. Same thing with Jim Morrison. And you walk right across the street into Strawberry Field. And Strawberry Field is the memorial or the Imagine mosaic to John Lennon. And you can walk on up to the lake area, and this is where the Bow Bridge is. You see lots of pictures taken at the Bow Bridge. People were doing wedding and engagement and graduation. And then if you turn around and go take pictures the other direction, that's where you get the cityscape of the Dakota in there. This is the fall, looking up under there, and there's a little boat dock there. You can walk on around the lake over to this area right there, and that is called the Bethesda Terrace and Fountain. Quite a view. And so this was one view of it, and this is the back view. And when you look at the back, you see up underneath there that's a bridge, and above that bridge is a roadway where you'll see the carriage, the horse-drawn carriages go across it. And I think that there may be car traffic as well. You walk under there and you get all this mosaic and arches and so forth. It's beautiful, beautiful mosaic tile. And then you walk up to those stairs, and then it takes you to the other side of that bridge. And this is where you get to the mall area of Central Park. Just beautiful views. Wasn't quite fallish color when we were there. It was starting to turn. This was taken a few years ago. This is called the Big Lawn. This is there's a castle in Central Park. You've seen the movie Stepmom. There's a scene there where she's taking a picture of Julia Roberts. This is what they used. There's several playgrounds for kids to play in. Lots of statues everywhere, but this one's near one of the children's playground of Alice in Wonderland. Of course, there's a carousel, and you can pay to ride the carousel, and you're never too old to ride the carousel, even if it's your 50th birthday. Let me see where we're at. North of, I think, yep. All right, so right north of the Dakota, there's an area. So here's the Dakota. It's kind of it's between there and the Natural History Museum. This is where they air up the balloons for the parade. That was a bucket list of us. I had just retired. We flew up there, and we got there in time to see the balloons being aired up. These guys have to be trained to air them up. They have to be trained to fly them the next day. A lot of these are Macy's employees that volunteer to do this.
They use 6 to 8 truckloads of helium. It's lots of helium.
Yeah. It was probably 30 something degrees that day. The winds were horrible. We thought they were going to cancel, but they did not. They did not get much higher than the light post there that day. But we did get some great pictures. It was a really cool parade. I don't know that I have to go back. It was cold. Up here is the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The only thing they were doing a photo exhibit. We wanted to go in there, and we saw that. Oh, there's some other great art museums for people who like art. But I had heard about something called the Cloisters. And they said, go in and get your ticket at the Metropolitan Art, and they'll tell you which bus to get on. And it gets the Met and the Cloisters work together. It's the same ticket. Billy didn't want to go. That was his first trip. He wanted to spend his day in the Central Park. And I said, okay, but it's going to be at least 3 hours. I came out and got back on the bus. I've got to click on here. It's not working. And I went all the way up. I went through Harlem, Upper Manhattan, Washington Heights, and it dead ended it right up in here at the Cloisters. And it's a medieval art rebuilt monastery of the 13th century. This was the Met prices when we checked last, 17 for seniors. Beautiful, beautiful museum. Somebody had told me about it, And then when I went back and said I went, she said, I don't know what you're talking about. So I don't know, not kind of senior moment she was having, but it was a beautiful, beautiful museum, courtyards. And I can't remember where these were. I think these were pears, and the fountains, just so beautiful. The arches, and I was probably there an hour and a half. Had a little place, a little snack bar upstairs, and you can walk out little tables and look out over the Hudson on a beautiful fall day. Got back, Billy saw my pictures. He said, next time we have to go, I want to go. So we did. We went back one more time. So like I said, right up here north of that, that is your museum, American Museum of Natural History. It's got different ticket options that you can go and see. First time, well, the only time we've been was 2 years ago when we took our granddaughter, and this is her standing there. And these are taxidermy stuffed elk. And then in the back were beautiful paintings. They incorporated the art with the animals. Just beautiful work. And outside the museum is Teddy Roosevelt, ready to ride into Central Park, like museum at a night at the museum. So coming right across, so here, right over here is where we were at, Plaza Hotel. And I don't know how many times we have come over here, and there was a restaurant over here called Serendipity. Fabulous ice cream desserts, famous for their frozen hot chocolate. They do have a price minimum for everybody. Everybody has to $10 or $12 per person. So you can't just go in there and split a frozen hot chocolate. I took Billy, my daughter took me, we took a foreign exchange today. And we even talked about when 2 years ago, our granddaughter would like to see the Roosevelt Island. Well, we felt like that was too far to go. We walked right by Serendipity to get over here to catch the tram. It's a half a block away. We felt like idiots. But anyway, so next time we know. Roosevelt Island used to be an insane asylum, and it also used to have a prison before Rikers was built. You can use your subway pass to ride that tram over and back. If you choose not to buy a subway pass, then you're going to buy a metro ticket anyway for $2.75 each way. And this tram goes across and will come back.
You definitely want the one closer to the bridge. It's newer and it doesn't swing as much.
If it gets too windy, they do shut it down. This is what used to be the insane asylum. These are apartments now. And this part here is a common area. This right here was a gym. I think this may have been a library up there, and down here was a game room. Just beautiful.
Only $7,000 a month.
Yeah. If you have
7,000 what?
We're nearly through. If you have spare time, we had done a cruise. We were to get on the cruise at Brooklyn, so we booked a hotel in Brooklyn. We didn't need to be to the ship till 11 or 12, and Billy says, let's go out to Coney Island. It's right here. So we left our luggage with the front desk, and we got on the subway, and we rode it right out here to Coney Island.
You can go to the Atlantic Ocean, get into the sand, get into water, and
you can go have a Nathan's hot dog, where they have the hot dog eating contest every year, 4th of July. None of when we went again in 2 years ago, we split a hot dog 3 ways because none of us really wanted, but we had to say that we wanted one. They have security out there.
But lots and lots of wood in the boardwalk.
Lots of board, yeah.
But just another place to go.
Yep.
So
shops, there's shopping boardwalk.
Yeah. So that's just a taste of.
That's the taste of our New York, what we like to do. And every time we come up with something new that we want to go back and do that we haven't done. So.
Wow. Well, that's amazing. Like a lot of information to process. I'm going to need to watch this when it's posted. No, it's great. We do have a number of questions. So let me just read them. Oh, earlier when a couple people chimed in that really everybody does need to go see New York City at least once. And Carol Barron chimed in with that comment that it's just fascinating. Let's see. Oh, that was getting you back on. Barbara Mahoney, at the Marriott, did you go to the floor that literally moves, that rotates? You can sit and order a drink and watch the scene outside change?
We did not do that. We know it's up there. In fact, when we were there a month ago, it was not open. They did have, all they had open was the bar lounge food there.
Okay.
I don't know when they were going to open it again.
Okay.
The one there at Marquis on the 8th floor hangs out over Times Square. It's cool.
Wow. And Barbara also said that she's been to the Dakota to visit a person who was on the board of the Shakespeare and Company in Lenox, Massachusetts.
The other thing I didn't mention, and I meant to, if you haven't done to the Rockefeller, not Rockefeller, the Rockettes, highly recommend. Billy even liked it.
About how much in advance did you need to get tickets and things?
I knew when we finally decided we were going in October, I was looking at what was going to be available, and I wanted to go see Hamilton. And so I think I bought them in June or July and told Billy he got me a birthday gift.
So you did go to Hamilton?
I did. I had already seen it when they had it on TV with the Disney Channel. And it just really intrigued me. And I did lots of reading. I said, did this really happen? Did this really happen? And so I think I understood it and knew what was going on. It's fascinating history.
Yeah, definitely. Did you wear masks the whole time you were there to visit?
Didn't understand.
Did you have to wear face masks?
When we were inside stores and things like that, yes, we had to wear a mask.
We show our COVID shot record.
When we went to a Chipotle's that first night, we dropped our luggage off. We hit the road running about 7 o'clock. Let's grab something to eat. We walked into a Chipotle. We had our mask on. We ordered our food. When we got ready to pay, they said, do you want to eat here? Do you want to take it with you? I said, lots of tables empty. Let's eat here. Now they wanted to see our stuff. Billy had left his in the hotel, so we took it back to the hotel.
Oh.
When I went to the Broadway show, I had to show my ID. I had to show my COVID. We had to wear a mask the whole time. If you took it off, you could take a drink, but you had to put it back on. And they must have some cameras because somebody every now and then would come down and he'd turn around and look at him and say, put your mask back on. He was the masked Nazi guy.
Wow. Wow. Okay, well, do you want to stop screen share and let's see if anybody else has any questions for you that they didn't type out? You all, I mean, you did a lot. You covered.
This was multiple years.
Yeah, so you think 3 to 4 days is really a good amount of time for a trip there?
I think you're going to be tired if you're doing lots of walking. 4 days is max. Chrissy and I 10 years ago did 7 days, and by day 6 we were going, can we change our airline and go home? We were tired.
Okay.
I just wanted to give people hints about Broadway tickets. There are these booths called tickets, TKTS. You could actually look it up online before you go. And basically it's half price seats plus maybe $3 or $5. So you can only buy it last minute. So you can buy the same day for the matinee and evening. Some places, there's 3 or 4 places to do it. A lot of people know about the one right in Times Square.
Yeah.
It's very obvious. It's on 49th in Times Square. However, our favorite one is in Lincoln Center because it's indoors. And if you get hungry, waiting on the line is you get a bite to eat. And also weather, you have the air conditioning or heat. The other thing we like about it is they actually let you, I think, buy a day ahead. So you can buy for the same day and the next day. So we could kind of get all our tickets at the same time. So that's our favorite TKTS spot. And earlier,
We've looked at those or I've looked at them, and there's always been certain shows that I actually wanted to see, and I wanted to make sure that I had a ticket. I'd come too far, and so I've always just ordered mine ahead. We bought one show one time.
okay. Yes, so it's whatever's left over, whatever seats are empty. And you said something about you understood north and south and you didn't understand east and west. Well, the clue in Manhattan is Fifth Avenue runs right down the center of the island. So everything to the east of Fifth Avenue is going to have an east address, and everything to the west of Fifth Avenue is going to have a west address. So one east and one west are going to start right at Fifth Avenue for addresses, and they go to the rivers. There's only 11 avenues, I think, 11 or 12. Starts at First at the East River, goes to 12th Avenue on the Hudson River. That's the river that faces. So that kind of gives you a little bit of geography. And I like that someone mentioned earlier about the circle, the cruise that goes around the island for really, if you're tired, those days that your feet hurt, it's called the Circle Line Cruise. You can halfway around, you can take it all the way around. And it's a really good way to get off your feet, and you get to see everything on, first of all, you realize it's an island, because when you're walking around, you just see buildings and buildings. You don't realize it's surrounded by water. And you get to see the pier where the Titanic was supposed to come in. You get to see the Statue of Liberty, the UN. You can see a lot of major things from the water. So you can either go sort of at the end of the day and have a little bite to eat while you go around, or in the evening when you're tired, when all the lights go on, you just decide when you need a break.
They also do a dinner cruise and dance as well that does that.
Yeah.
Right. And I know you mentioned the prices of museums. Now, I haven't gone in a few years, but certain days and certain times, or you don't have to pay. You can throw a certain amount in, but you can always just go in and pay less. And I'm not sure how they do that now.
I don't know. We just pulled up what was on the internet.
Yeah, it used to be, this is what we suggest, but if you can't afford it, you can only pay $5 or nothing, because they don't want to discourage anyone in the city from not being able to go into a museum. So I don't know how they do it now, because it has been a few years. So you could check that as well. There's also people who give free tours, like sort of meet neighbors. I forget the name of it. I should have had it ready for today. And
Free walking tours. We've done some of those, and where you give them a gratuity as well.
Right.
It's always good to look on the internet to see what's available.
Yeah. So there's one in New York, like it's something to do with neighbor or neighborhood. And they just do just the tiny little different neighborhoods in Manhattan or Brooklyn. And you talked earlier also about kind of how expensive maybe it is to live in Manhattan, which isn't always true. There's a lot of people who, maybe only make $30,000, $40,000 and live in Manhattan. So there's ways to live there and go there and not have to live the high life. There's ways to do it inexpensively, if you learn how to do it. So, maybe you share an apartment with someone and, it costs you, $1,200 a month each or whatever. And so you can live there in the city and you don't have to be a millionaire.
I don't know if anybody mentioned, but the avenues in New York run north and south. The streets run east and west.
Yes.
To help too, when you're looking at a book or something, guidebook, if it says street, that's east and west, and if it says avenue, it's north and south.
That's helpful.
Yeah, so let's say she mentioned that the plaza's on 59th Street and Broadway's on 49th, you've got to just walk down 10 blocks. It's pretty easy to do the math. But it does cheat in certain places, and there's extra streets or extra avenues in between. And the general rule of thumb is it takes a block a minute to walk.
Well, if you're going north and south, they're short blocks. And if you're going east to west, they're long blocks.
Right.
They're horrible.
Wow. Well, Lanee, thank you so much for all of that information. And Lanee, I assume you took a lot of those pictures.
She takes a lot.
I don't know.
She doesn't know. She didn't know what a camera is, but she wears her iPhone now.
And I used to teach yearbook. I let him do most of it anymore.
Well, that was great. I really do appreciate your doing that for us. Carol Barron says thank you. Both she appreciated the pictures and the information. So let's see. So let's remember that next week Mary is going to be telling us all about Cape Town, South Africa.